WP admin, general, reading, and update.
All right, so 5, 4, 3. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you happen to be hiding out there on the globe today. And welcome to the interview show for WP Plugins A to Z. I'm your host, John Overall. And with me today is Russel Aaron you're from WP, I keep mixing you up, WMU Dev. You're not from them. You are from, tell us where you are.
WebDev Studios.
WebDev Studios, thank you. I'm so sorry about that.
It's all right.
So, at any rate, we've got Russel here on the show today, and we're going to just freewheel it and discuss. He's going to be discussing a bit about the plugins, what WebDev Studios does, how they come up with plugin ideas, and how they develop plugins and other things along that lines. So, all right. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself, Russel.
First-time caller, long-time listener. I started off doing like MySpace band layouts. So like I was just literally writing HTML inside of the MySpace profile editor. I started out doing that, and then I got into some heavy blogging. And then a buddy of mine showed me how I could build my own blog using WordPress, and I've been there ever since.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty incredible how a couple lines of code can completely change how your website works and how people interact with it. I think it's very interesting. And it's definitely one of those things that everybody wants to have a website, but
Absolutely.
For some people, it's hard to follow instructions, stuff like that. So I'm one of those people that I run a meetup here in Las Vegas. I run a WordCamp here in Las Vegas, and I really dedicate myself on helping people, build whatever it is they need to build.
Las Vegas, the city of sin. Must be kind of enjoyable down there sometimes. Other times, summertime's a little bit warm.
So it's warm all the time. Like right now, it's the end of February, and we're already in like the high 70s.
Translated for the rest of the world, that's about 22, 23 degrees, folks. Sorry, you're talking to a Canadian here.
Sure, fair enough.
Yeah, you're in one of the only countries in the world left that's using the standard measurement system.
I think I've been trying to get them to fix that. I'm working on it.
Yeah, well, it's kind of funny sometimes. Anyway, tell us a little bit about you mentioned a WordCamp down there in Las Vegas. How often does that happen? When does that happen in Vegas?
So it's been going on since 2009.
Wow.
And yeah, it goes on every year. I took it over in 2015. We had a very successful 2015. We had some slight complications with 2016.
Mm-hmm.
And so hopefully we should have WordCamp Vegas 2017 sometime soon. I'm just waiting on a contract.
Oh, okay. So you don't have a date for it yet in 2017?
We don't have any of that yet.
Okay.
Because in 2016 I did release dates and stuff like that, and then we had just an issue with the venue and stuff like that. So we had to cancel it.
Oh,
so
bummer.
I'm not going to release anything until I have something signed in ink.
Well, that's an important thing to do. Make sure you've got it good and solid. But what are you looking sometime in the fall, late fall, summer?
Yeah, that's usually when our WordCamp is. Vegas WordCamp used to be, in December. That's when a lot of hotels had open rooms and stuff like that. And we also got better deals on room rates and shuttles. But so I'm looking somewhere, somewhere in the fall, September through November-ish.
Oh, cool. Yeah, maybe I'll actually be able to get off the island here and go visit a WordCamp. Yours is one of the closer ones for me to get to. Also one of the cheapest because it's pretty cheap to fly from here to Vegas and back.
Sure.
Always cheap to fly to Vegas. I wonder why. I guess they figure you're going to spend all your money on the gambling. So,
Probably.
At any rate, tell us a little bit about working at WebDev Studios. You're a plugin developer for them. Is that your main job?
No, so what I do is I do support. So we have a company called Maintain, and so we back up plugins, update plugins, and we do dev work when people want to add new functionality or they want to change something on their site. They send us a ticket. They pay like a small monthly service fee, and we update their site. We fix it. We do stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I do. So I do support. And as you know, most developers, they can't log off their computers. So when I'm done doing that, I work on, new plugins that I feel would be very beneficial to not only myself, but to other people out there that, are trying to do the same things I am with WordPress.
Okay. And you made mention in one of the emails you contact me with that you'd like to discuss a little bit about ideas on how you come up with ideas for plugins.
Yeah. Have you ever been to WordCamp Orange County?
I haven't been to anything, but we used to do a word camp here in Victoria. It lasted for 4 or 5 years, and then the core people who ran it fell away and went and created their own social media camp so that they could make a profit. And nobody ever picked up the gauntlet for it because as you probably know, it takes a fair bit of effort to put forth a word camp.
It sure does. Well, so the reason why I mentioned WordCamp Orange County is they do this thing called Plugin Palooza.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a competition where you come up with an idea for a plugin, and they have a team who selects who is going to participate in the competition. And then you have to go and build that plugin. And by the time WordCamp rolls around, you have to present it to the WordCamp. And a winner is picked, a second place and a third place is picked, and they pay a little money for it.
Oh, nice.
They have a sponsor in Security who keeps malware away from your sites, does stuff like that. So I got into really committing my time to building plugins because of the Plugin Palooza at WordCamp Orange County. I have a lot of plugins on my own personal site that I just are for personal use, and I want to do this, I want to do that. But I started really thinking I want to contribute to WordPress in more ways than just doing support or speaking at WordCamps. So I started getting into writing plugins.
Nice.
And yeah, and so the easiest way to come up with a new plugin idea is to solve your own problem, right?
Oh, I've done it quite a few times. So yeah, you're right there.
Yeah, also the benefit of running a meetup and running a WordCamp is you get to meet so many people who have interesting ideas, but these people don't know how to build the plugin, or they don't have the money to hire a developer to do it.
Right.
And so you very easily just say, hey, I'd like to build this, I'd like to release it for free, and you kind of get a little bit of their blessing. You don't have to, but I like to. I like to,
Mm-hmm.
just let people know, hey, I heard your idea. I'm going to build this. I don't want you to think I'm ripping you off or anything.
Right.
But then, you just start building things and solve your own problem, and maybe you're going to solve, somebody else's problem that you didn't even know they were having.
Absolutely.
So I mean that's kind of my strategy, my take on it, if you will, when I'm trying to come up with ideas for a plugin.
Okay. And so you do the development yourself on plugins, I take it?
Yeah, so all of my plugins that are on WordPress.org,
Mm-hmm.
on the plugin repository, and on GitHub and stuff like that, everything I've done is personally mine. I do contribute to some other plugins, but for the most part, anything that I've released, I've done myself, or I've had a little bit of help with. And I do mention them in the release notes and the README files and stuff like that.
Okay.
I believe credit is deserved when somebody helps out.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, I've taken a couple of plugins that have been abandoned and forked them out, giving all the credit back to the original developers. But
Yeah, instead of forking it, calling it something new, why don't you just take that over and say, so and so built this.
I'm actually not a code writer. I usually end up bringing in somebody to help me fix it and
Sure.
turn it into I usually end up putting it to a very specific need. It's kind of like you can go up to the WP Plugins A to Z site, and in our little store there we have two, I think there's one or two. I know there's at least one plugin in there that was a fork, and it was originally created to solve a specific problem, but I've been slowly getting it expanded.
Sure.
I keep paying developers to do the expansion for me because as much as I can read code, debug code, I can't write down stuff from scratch for some reason.
You know, That's kind of a thing I have in my life too. And if the WordPress docs and the plugin developer handbook didn't exist, I don't know what I would do.
Yeah, well, everyone's got to have the docs, so. But yeah, it's one of those things. You just do the best you can with it, and then make sure the credit gets spread around the world quite nicely.
Exactly.
But I enjoy it. I've actually got a couple of that I've started in the past, a couple of plugins that are like halfway halfway to completion, and I end up abandoning them because I have to go make a living. They're like
Fair.
toys.
So I do a lot of my development like late at night. I'm kind of an insomniac that way, where I sleep for 2 hours and then I can stay up for another 36. So
You
it's
don't
one
have
of those.
kids, right?
I do not have kids.
See, there's your
That
advantage.
that's kind of the advantage to life. Yeah, it's not having kids. I recommend it to anyone, by the way.
Yeah, as long as you don't have kids, you can do a lot of things. Once you have the kids, well, it makes it tough to pull those 36 hours and then sleep for whatever amount of time you need to recover.
It does. So I have a day job, and I make sure that all my tasks get done during the day, and
Mm.
then as soon as I sign off for the night, I kind of rest and hang out, and then I get right back to it, and I'm like, I'm gonna create this, and just see where it takes me.
Nice. So anyway, I'm taking a look at your page on WordPress.org and your list of plugins. You got 3 of them listed there. Do you have more?
I do on my GitHub.
Oh, on your GitHub. Okay, I'd have to
Yeah,
hunt down your GitHub page then.
I can link that to you.
Oh, fire that off to me then. We'll bring that up here for the screencast too. But so what you got here? It looks like you got hashtag URL placeholder, query all the post types, and then WordPress zero spam. Zero
Yeah.
spam might be one for me to get in review. What's the hashtag URL placeholder do?
So I read an article that was written by I forget the guy's name, Viper somebody, but he's actually a developer for WordPress. So what it does is when you go into your menu, instead of like linking to the latest post, and then when you write a new post, you have to go and change your menu item again and link to the newest post and keep doing that every time you write a post.
Uh huh.
What this is doing is this lets you set up a hashtag, so something like hashtag latest post, and then you can say, get the latest post from this post type in this category.
Oh,
So
really?
essentially, yeah. So essentially, what I'm doing is I read a lot of articles,
Hmm.
and as much as I like to see articles on a website, sometimes I want to go just to somebody's site and see the latest article posted in WordPress development. So I made a simple and easy way for somebody to say, when this menu item is clicked, take me to the latest post in this category. So that way, they don't have to search to figure out what is the latest post on your site. You can just say, here's the latest post about kids.
Hmm.
You know? Yeah, pretty simple.
Yeah, but it seems like it's a pretty nice plugin. I think I'll stick that one in the queue to be reviewed too.
It's one of those things where if you read like a lot of magazine sites or
Hmm.
something where they're just cranking content out left and right.
Yeah, well, I actually do work for a couple of magazine sites that could use something like that.
Yeah, so the idea here, is all that content is good for first time readers, but for your returning readers, they don't want to keep sorting through to figure out what's new. So that's what that plugin does.
Right. That's
Pretty cool.
nice. That is pretty cool. All right, so, well, that's not you. You don't live in the UK, do you?
I do not live in the UK.
There's another Aaron Russell lives in the UK on GitHub.
There's a few people that look very similar to myself that have the same name.
Yeah, I was just doing a search in Google. The top one is the guy who lives in the UK.
Nice.
You're gonna have to do a little work, push him off the list, get him pushed down the list a little bit.
There's actually an Olympic athlete named Aaron Russell, and I don't think I'm ever going to top SEO for that. So I've kind of just given up at this point.
Yeah, well, that's kind of like me trying to keep the top of SEO for John Overall. I'm still fighting against 3 top ones. There's Sir John Overall from Australia, who was a billionaire philanthropist. Tough word.
Yeah.
And then there was Bishop John Overall, who helped write the King James Bible. I'm actually related to that guy. And then there's a John Overall that works for Fox News down there in Arizona. He was in Las Vegas for a while too.
Never heard of him.
Yeah.
Sorry, John.
Yeah,
Overall.
that's all right. I'm happy that I never heard of him. I'm not a Fox News fan, but it's
Sure.
just funny because I end up following his career when I go check on my own name in Google because him and I are neck and neck sometimes.
Nice.
I was the smart one though. I bought all the John Overall domains back in the early 2000s, late 90s. I own all the versions .com, .net, .org, and .biz.
I have the same thing with Russel Aaron, except I will never have the .com. A kid that I grew up with in Reno, Nevada, his name is Russel Aaron as well, and he owns the .com, but I own everything else.
Nice.
And he has assured me that I will never own the .com.
Mm. He's not actually using it. He's just not going to let you have it.
No, he uses it, but I mean,
Okay.
he doesn't blog as frequently as I do, and it's fine. We live in a world where the .com isn't really necessary at this point anymore.
No, not anymore. It's not
Yeah.
necessary.
There's a million top level domains that you can have.
They've been creating tons of those in the last couple of years for pretty much every major dictionary word out there.
Yeah. So I have another plugin on there that's called Query All the Post Types.
Yeah, I was just taking a look at that one.
So I created that one specifically for that WordCamp Orange County plugin Palooza. And it's something where I create a lot of my own queries. So like I create my own shortcodes or pages, and I want to display all the post types in this kind of custom post type itself. But so the problem with that is sometimes post types are not called what you think they are.
Yeah.
Because you're supposed to name things individually. That way your code doesn't break with other code. So the problem with that is, I had a plugin like the events calendar, and I was trying to, run a query to get my own events. And it turns out that the post type is not called events. It's called tribe_events. So I simply wrote a plugin that shows me, here's a list of all the active post types on your site. This way I know what to query for. It made my life so much easier when I'm building custom stuff to say, oh, I can query for this, or I thought it was called portfolio, but it's called, John Overall portfolio. Yeah. I had no idea. So I created a simple plugin that just shows you, a top level view of what's activated or what's registered on your site.
Nice. So that's what it does. It just shows you. It doesn't actually run a query. It just shows you what the post types are then.
So it shows you the post type, and then it gives you some information like, is it archivable? Is it public queryable? Does it have a hierarchy to it? Like, it shows you some specific data, and then it also kind of gives you a list of all the taxonomies assigned with it, right? So you can have something called like band names, and then you have a taxonomy called genre, and then you can have a taxonomy called, live concerts or whatever. So it basically tells you everything you essentially need to know to build queries for that post type.
Now that will come in very handy.
It's one of those things when you're trying to build something for a client and they don't know, and you didn't build the site, so you don't know.
Right.
So instead of var dumping all the things, let's build something that just gets a list of all the post types and spits them out.
Very nice. That's quite useful.
And so that plugin won me a little bit of money from Plugin Palooza.
Nice.
And another guy here in Vegas, his name's Robert Gilmer. He wrote another plugin, and so we took first and second place in that competition last year.
Nice.
Las Vegas has kind of thrown it down. I'm hoping to get accepted this year into Plugin Palooza. I have to, defend my belt.
Oh, absolutely. Especially if you won last year, you got to make sure you stand out again. Yeah, it looks like they're giving out $500 and a Security Business VIP license this year.
Yeah,
first place.
It's really cool. It's very simple to install Security. I've had it for about 6-7 months. It tells me if I've ever been hacked, which I haven't been because I'm on a really good host. But I mean, we put security on all of our Maintain clients as well. I mean, I personally love their service.
Yeah, I've only recently started to use that one. I've been for the longest time been using WordFence. So, and Security's I'm just beginning to explore that plugin and see what it can do for me.
What's cool with Security is I don't know if they do this now, but I was actually so I had a site that was on a shared host, and so my site was fine, but there were 3 other sites that were hacked, and Security actually picked that up on the shared hosting and said, hey, there's malicious files, and they actually went in and cleaned that for me.
Oh, nice.
Like they cleaned up the other sites in turn to help me rank better and to help me, not get blacklisted. I love their service.
Nice.
You do have to pay for that, so you do have to have a subscription with them. But I definitely think if you're ever worried about, if you're being hacked or how to clean up your site, they are definitely the best way to go.
Yeah, well, that's my specialty is cleaning up hacked websites. I've been doing that for at least the last 3-4 years. And I'm become pretty adept at cleaning up the mess that the hackers leave behind and then keeping them out afterwards. Sometimes that's the hard part. Anyway, though, Russell, we've pushed this to 20 minutes. I didn't realize it gone that long. It's one of my longer interviews. We've just been having such a grand old time.
I could talk forever.
Well, you can talk forever. I can talk forever when I actually get somebody that has a great conversation going. Anyway, I'm going to have to wrap this one up, and we can arrange another time to bring you on in a future episode and talk shop and other stuff. So
I'm available all the time.
Well, you want to put your plugs in here for your websites and other places where people can get hold of you?
I mean, simply put, webdevstudios.com, maintain with 2 N's.com. We actually have a plugin division called pluginize.com. And I blog over on Russell Envy, Russell, and then it's envy.com.
Okay.
And I blog about random stuff over there. I think people will enjoy it. Those are my 4 plugs.
Perfect.
I have more plugs than I do plugins. That's funny.
Well, that's pretty much all we got. So we'll wrap this one up, and we'll look forward to bringing you on to another show sometime.
Thank you for your time.
Not a problem. And that's all we've got for the WP Plugins A to Z interview show. And we will reach you real soon. So take care now. Bye-bye. Thanks for listening to the show. This show is copyright by johnoverall.com. So until next time, have yourselves a good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you happen to be out there on the globe today.